Sacred Marriage by Gary L. Thomas. Marriage is an adventure, but it is also a pathway to greater holiness. It requires humility, compassion, and sacrifice, and can lead to daily struggles, challenges, and mundane routine. The ultimate purpose of marriage isn't happiness, but holiness. And the spiritual path in marriage is about embracing the opportunity contained in the intimacy of your union to undergo a personal transformation that will bring you closer to God. In 2 Corinthians 5-9, Paul declared that we should make it our goal to please God and commit to living by the mantra, "What will make me happy?" Marriage is a temporary reality in the vastness of eternity, so it is important to embrace the opportunity to grow closer to God and be filled with a renewed sense of love and purpose. The most important details in this book are that marriage should be grounded and guided by faith, and that it should be used to practice the Christian virtues of love and respect. Marriage is like the physical kind of relationship, and it requires some stress to build muscle and test the heart. By confronting your weaknesses and viewing every conflict as an opportunity for transformation, you'll grow closer to God. If your relationship with God is right, you'll be fulfilled spiritually and free to work on living in Christ's image and loving your fellow adventurer to the best of your human ability. The Russian Orthodox priest Yelchinov considered an intense experience of love to be much more powerful than the most valiant efforts against God. Marriage is an opportunity to love and reflect Christ's love as best as possible. It also gives you the opportunity to practice another important virtue, respect, which is a Christian duty. To practice respect, it is important to cultivate gratitude and express it verbally. It is also important to gain a deeper understanding of your spouse's life to boost empathy and make it easier to honor them. Finally, marriage can expose sin and teach forgiveness, as it unmasks your true self and asks you to consider yourself honestly. Confronting sin takes courage and leads to humility, which is the foundational virtue of Christian marriage. To grow in humility, ask your spouse where they see unholiness in your life and work to change it. Of course, the person you marry isn't without sin and they'll eventually hurt you. Christian marriage asks you to embrace the sin, hate the sin, and love the sinner. Conflict presents an opportunity for spiritual growth because it requires you to be engaged and to empty yourself completely. Negotiating conflict involves learning how to compromise, which demonstrates that you care about your relationship more than winning an argument. Finally, resolving conflict ends with acceptance. You let go of idealized expectations and simply love the person standing in front of you. Marital challenges present the opportunity to build perseverance and character, and due to medical advances and increasing life expectancy, there's a lot more potential for it than ever before. In 1911, marriage spanned an average of 28 years. By 1967, that had shot up to 42 years. Marriage is an act of perseverance and character, and Paul urges Christians to let the Lord direct their hearts into God's love and Christ's perseverance. Patience is key, and there are several ways to get through the tough times. Emulate Jesus by embracing sacrifice and serving your spouse, and acknowledge that your struggle is fostering spiritual growth. The Bible is full of individuals who overcame challenges, and suffering is part of the Christian life. A good marriage is something you consciously work toward, and ultimately, it doesn't matter if you married the right person. In Philippians 2, Paul encourages us to value others more than ourselves and to focus on others' interests in addition to our own. In Ephesians 5:25, Paul instructs a husband to love his wife like Christ loved the church. Selflessness is a core virtue of Christianity, and marriage gives you the opportunity to pursue it 24/7. Sex can also be a powerful tool of giving and the peak of asceticism. To banish feelings of guilt, practice thanking God for the beautiful aspects of physical intimacy, and allow your spirit of servanthood to flow into all corners of your marriage. Invite God's presence into your daily life through righteous communication, and live in constant awareness of God's presence. Marriage summons the presence of God by nudging us to communicate. It is important to invite God's presence into our daily life through righteous communication, which can be viewed as a discipline of love and an ego-emptying exercise. It can also be used to help each other become more aware of God's presence and become a couple saint who pursues God and God's work together. Bad, hurtful speech can lead to despair or even death, so it is important to be mindful of how we communicate. The most important details in this book are that marriage is a long, complex journey, and that it is important to invoke holiness in order to have a meaningful, wonderful adventure. Gary L. Thomas encourages couples to use sexual expression to enrich their prayer life, as it can lead to a stronger prayer life and broaden their view of what prayer means. He also encourages them to learn to please, respect, forgive, and serve their partner, as well as embrace challenges in their union, in order to be happier and more deeply in love with their spouse than ever before.